Everyone says I'm a silly girl. Just because Daniel Lu promised to take good care of me, I willingly became a stand-in for his first love. Later, when his first love returned, his friends asked when he'd break up with me to go after her. But Daniel was outraged. Do you know how much I've invested in taking care of her? I have to feed her, coax her to sleep, help her with her homework. She gets sick and cries at the drop of a hat. I hold her in my hands like she's fragile glass, afraid she'll shatter. I keep her close, fearing she'll slip away. You want me to leave her? That would be the death of me. His friend was left speechless. I'm famous in the socialite circles for being a silly girl. Despite being a wealthy heiress, I got kicked out by my stepmother. I never thought of using the law to protect my rights. Instead, foolishly letting myself become someone else's stand-in lover. People in these circles usually mock me, mixing sarcasm with a hint of pity. But they don't understand how much happiness I feel being Daniel's stand-in. When Daniel came home, the maid Mandy was complaining about how picky I was with food. Miss Olivia is so picky. She won't eat anything. I worked hard making all these dishes. And she only took a few bites. Mandy hinted at how hard she'd worked, throwing in a jab about my lack of manners. Daniel didn't say much, just acknowledged her hard work with a few polite words and said he'd adjust her pay based on her performance. Mandy left happily after that. Only when I was sure Mandy was gone did I poke half my head out from around the corner. Daniel shook his head helplessly. She's gone. How long are you planning to hide? I shuffled over to him, pouting. Mandy's cooking is horrible. Everything she makes is too spicy. As I spoke, my eyes grew red, always on the verge of tears. I only had a couple bites at lunch, but my lips ended up red and swollen. Mandy, on the other hand, ate just fine and even called me spoiled and unreasonable. My tears started to fall in big droplets. Daniel, is this what you meant by taking good care of me? I'd barely eaten anything since lunch. Daniel, I'm starving. Daniel looked at me helplessly and gently wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. Why are you so hard to take care of? I burst into louder sobs, shrinking back as I asked, so, you're not going to take care of me anymore? Daniel sighed long and hard. Then playfully pinched my nose before getting to his feet. He took off his suit jacket and started rolling up his sleeves. I looked at him in horror. Are you going to hit me? Daniel let out a huff, then tousled my hair. Like I could ever bear to. Seeing that I was on the verge of wailing, he sighed and said, to keep my precious girl from starving to death, I'll go cook for you. I watched him as he walked toward the kitchen, expertly tying on an apron and washing vegetables. A faint smile finally appeared on my lips. So what if I'm his first love stand-in? I've still got him wrapped around my little finger. I used to be a wealthy heiress. But a year ago, my father passed away due to illness, and my stepmother took control, driving me out of the house. Homeless, I wandered around the neighborhood. My father had taken such good care of me, protected me so well, that once I left home, I didn't even know where to go. I sat on the roadside, dazed, for a long, long time until a Bentley slowly pulled up in front of me. Are you Olivia? I stared blankly at the man who had stepped out. He was strikingly handsome, sharp eyebrows, piercing eyes, with a strong, chiseled face and a tall, commanding figure. Every move he made was filled with an air of elegance and nobility. You know me? Are you a friend of my dad's? Something like that. But, what are you doing sitting here alone? My eyes reddened again, and I started telling him how my stepmother had thrown me out of the house. Daniel stared at me intently, and after a long pause, he spoke softly, Would you like to be my girlfriend? If you agree, I'll take you home and take good care of you. I blinked, a bit stunned, and after thinking it over for a moment, I asked. If I become your girlfriend, you'll take care of me? Of course. You take me to the hospital if I'm sick, make food for me if I'm hungry, comfort me if I'm sad, buy me pretty dresses, and support me to finish my studies? Sure. I asked again, and what do you need me to do for you? Just stay alive. I nodded eagerly. Deal. Take me home already. I haven't eaten anything all day, I'm starving. And so, Daniel took me home and earnestly fulfilled his promise to take care of me. I have to say, Daniel is truly a good man. Daniel made me all my favorite foods, and the delicious smell made my mouth water. I sneaked up to the dining table and grabbed a piece of beef, stuffing it into my mouth. It was absolutely delicious. As I was reaching for a second piece, Daniel slapped my hand away. Wash your hands first. Then eat. I stuck my tongue out at him. Got it, Uncle Dan. In reality, Daniel is only 7 years older than me, but he carries himself with such maturity and authority, especially when he's scolding me, it feels like he's my dad. But I don't mind one bit. After a satisfying meal, I happily patted my stomach and flopped onto the sofa. Daniel brought me some fresh fruit and couldn't help but tease me. You're something else, if you don't like something, you won't touch it. But if you do, you devour it like there's no tomorrow. You're so extreme. That's because Uncle Dan's cooking is so good. Even if you're buttering me up, I'm not cooking for you every day. You definitely can't cook for me every day. I said with a confident smile, you still need to earn money to support my studies and buy me pretty dresses. Daniel helplessly pinched my cheek. Good grief, did I pick up a girlfriend or end up with a daughter? Doesn't matter. I sweetly held his hand. Darling Daniel, since you have some free time now, can you help me with my paper? Writing all this stuff is exhausting me. Daniel sighed, resigned, and went to the study to help me revise my paper. I secretly felt proud of myself. I really do have a pretty great sugar daddy. I'm in my second year of graduate school, and as soon as class ended, I got a call from Daniel. Finished with class? Yeah. My paper was the best in the class. My professor even praised me. Good job. So, how much of that success is thanks to me? Of course. It's all your credit, after all. I am yours, aren't I? I purposely paused for a moment, then added with a teasing smile, your substitute. Although I couldn't see Daniel's expression, I could imagine him furrowing his brow in helpless amusement. He had that look of fond, helpless indulgence, yet still looking incredibly handsome. Come to my company. What for? The maid Mandy, who couldn't cook to your liking, has been fired. The new maid, never mind. You're so picky and delicate that you wouldn't be satisfied with any maid. Come to my company, and after work, I'll take you to that restaurant you like. I smiled softly. I never expected that getting rid of Mandy would bring such an unexpected bonus. Since I was going to Daniel's company, my internship would surely be much easier to handle. I obediently agreed, okay, Uncle Dan, I'm on my way. I casually arrived at the Worrell Group's CEO office. Just as I was about to head to Daniel's office to relax, I was stopped by a slim, fashionable city woman. Miss, I don't know how you managed to get up here, but Mr. Liu's office is off limits to outsiders. I sized up the woman in front of me, Lucy, Daniel's secretary. The assistants and secretaries around Daniel generally fall into two categories: the professional, efficient city elites, or the smooth, worldly, beautiful but empty-headed models. Lucy, however, clearly fit a third type, a self-proclaimed beauty who only wants to snag a wealthy husband, a naive and simple girl. Her workability was average, and in a company full of beautiful women, she was just above average in looks. This woman had her own family business, though it couldn't compare to the Worrell Group. Yet, she abandoned her family's business and willingly worked as a tea-serving secretary for Daniel. How pitiful. How sad. When I first got together with Daniel, I came to the Worrell Group to find him, but several times, this woman subtly tried to sabotage me. Back then, my persona was that of a meek and obedient little girl who wouldn't fight back when wronged. But now, we're both women. And I can clearly tell what Lucy wants from Daniel. Since she's my competitor, don't blame me for not playing by the rules. Miss Lucy, what are you talking about? I'm not an outsider, I'm Daniel's girlfriend. Maybe she didn't expect me to be so shameless, but Lucy was momentarily speechless. I deliberately sneezed loudly a few times, pinching my nose and complaining, Miss Lucy, your perfume is too strong. Won't it overwhelm Daniel and the visitors? Miss Lucy, are you sure you want to keep blocking me? Daniel asked me to come. Don't you think it's inappropriate to make him wait? Lucy glared at me with anger, gritting her teeth. Everyone says Olivia is a fool. I think you're pretty clever. I smiled faintly at her and whispered, that means Miss Lucy is no fool. You're so smug. But you're just Daniel's substitute for his first love. When Scarlett returns. Daniel. I interrupted Lucy's threat with a cheerful smile, then I walked directly toward Daniel, who was slowly approaching, without caring about the curious looks from onlookers. I leaned in and whispered in his ear, your darling came to find you for dinner. Daniel pinched the back of my neck, helplessly saying, you're being naughty. I obediently linked my arm with his, and he greeted the people around us. After the work meeting, the others seemed to want to invite him to dinner, but of course, Daniel declined. I glanced at the visiting team and suddenly noticed a familiar figure. He was staring at me intently, and I pretended to be frightened, playfully hiding behind Daniel. But inside, I smirked coldly. Today really was eventful. My brother had come too. At the restaurant, I carelessly picked at the crab meat that Daniel had peeled for me, while my generous benefactor diligently removed fish bones for me. Noticing that I wasn't paying attention, Daniel asked, what's wrong? Not to your taste? No, it's really delicious. Really? But your expression doesn't look happy. I put down my utensils, feeling wronged, and said, Daniel, summer break is almost here. Didn't you say you wanted to travel to Japan? I've already arranged the time for you. But I looked conflicted. The teacher said we need to do a professional internship, so I gazed at him with pitiful eyes, my thoughts written all over my face. World Group isn't that easy to get into. I just want to be an intern, mainly to learn by being around you. Seeing Daniel stay silent for a long time, my heart tightened. And I immediately went into action. I stared at him with eyes on the verge of tears, my eyes welling up, and if I don't pass the internship, it'll affect my graduation. If I can't graduate smoothly, I'll be sad, really sad, and then I won't be able to eat or sleep well, and I'll get depressed, and then, your dear Olivia will be gone. I must say, I have a real knack for being a two-faced. As soon as I finished speaking, I dramatically hiccuped, stirring up a flurry of emotion. Daniel, helpless, patted my back while ladling me a bowl of soup. He was so used to this by now, even wiping the corner of my mouth without a second thought. He stared at me thoughtfully, hesitated for a moment, then spoke gravely, you can intern at World Group, but you need to think carefully, are you here just to pass the time, or do you genuinely want to learn something? If you just want to pass the time, I can have HR prepare an internship certificate for you tomorrow, but I definitely want to learn something. I cut him off mid-sentence, flattering him with a sweet smile, Uncle Dan, you're such a renowned business mogul. It's truly an honor to learn from you. It'll be tough. I declared firmly, I'm not afraid of hardship. Haha, Daniel chuckled as he looked down at me. What are you laughing at? I exclaimed. Angry. Wanting someone to pick apart your food, needing to wear only branded clothes to avoid allergies, crying over the slightest injury, even needing candy to swallow medicine, and you say you're not afraid of hardship? I felt a little embarrassed. After all, what he said was true. I can take mental hardship, but I don't want to suffer physically. You always have an excuse. Daniel chuckled, shaking his head. As he placed the fish bones he had carefully removed on a small plate in front of me. Have you made up your mind? Not going to Japan? We'll go next time. Alright, then report to the company tomorrow. No sleeping in. Yes, boss. To show my enthusiasm for my internship, I got up at 6:30 the next morning. With my hair a tangled mess. I found Daniel running on the treadmill at the gym. This man's energy is extraordinary. After staying up so late yesterday, he was still up early for a workout. I hastily tied my hair up and sneaked over to his side to warm up. I need to work out, get stronger, and take control of the bedroom activities. What did you say? I had just said that out loud. I said, I want to keep up with your lifestyle, Daniel. Starting today. I'll follow your lead, boss. Daniel's bright eyes gleamed with obvious calculation, but I, foolishly, couldn't help being entranced by his good looks. You're the one who said it, to keep up with my pace. I froze for a second. Did I just sell myself out? No, I've already sold myself long ago. Following the boss's rhythm meant directly feeling the terror of his time management mastery. Exercise, shower, breakfast. And then straight into work mode once we got to the office. Although I was technically interning as a secretary, I was far behind compared to the professional staff at World Group. There was so much to learn. Daniel couldn't personally guide me through everything, so he had me start out in the CEO's office. Everyone knew about my relationship with Daniel, so they were unsure how to approach me. They were polite and courteous, but just the right amount of distance. However, Lucy often used her seniority to boss me around, deliberately giving me tedious and thankless tasks. I felt wronged, but I couldn't complain after just saying I wasn't afraid of hard work. So, my plan was to diligently work, making sure the boss could see how hard I was trying. Fortunately, the kind-hearted Daniel, always remembering the little poor thing that I was, habitually took me out for lunch. Seeing me eat while flipping through documents to translate, he was both amused and helpless. Working this hard? Yep, I have to show off a little in front of the boss. Your version of showing off is having your hands free while the boss feeds you. Daniel placed a spoonful of food near my mouth. I ate without guilt, enjoying the food, and even made an excuse for myself. Boss, you have to understand. This is my first internship. My work efficiency isn't very high, especially since I have so much to do. Oh, so you're pretty busy, huh? I nodded, my face beaming with pride. I'm quite the excellent worker. You've only been here a few days. What have you been busy with? I smiled, unruffled. I began listing off all the things I had to do: translating materials, organizing files, making spreadsheets, sorting documents, setting up the meeting room, buying coffee and tea, etc. A mix of serious and trivial tasks. No wonder I had to use my lunch break to do translations. I still need to order coffee for everyone. I'll buy you one. No need, I have some in my office. Daniel smiled. Looks like it's good that you came for the internship. You've become more capable. Are you implying I was useless before? Wow, you actually have some self-awareness. Although what he said was true, I was still annoyed. I fell silent, quietly translating documents, my weepy state ready to kick in. Daniel sighed, pulling me into his arms and softly comforting me. You just said you weren't afraid of hardship, and now you're playing the victim. Alright, if I'm useless, I must have been spoiled. He kissed the top of my head. Stop throwing tantrums. Hurry up and eat. Once you're done translating, give me the materials to review. I'll tell the chief secretary that things like setting up the meeting room are part of the event team's duties, and organizing materials falls under the secretariat's tasks. Finish the translation, and then start working on the Goo Corporation project. My eyes lit up, and all my grievances vanished in an instant. Really? Really? Daniel quietly looked at me, smiling faintly. Actually, he always knew what I wanted to do. With the boss's order, I was able to get rid of the miscellaneous tasks on my plate. Other than Lucy personally coming over to throw some sarcastic remarks and a few eye rolls, it didn't really affect me. Now, what I had to do was reclaim everything that belonged to me. I took out the Goo Corporation project and studied it carefully, organizing and planning based on my past experiences. Creating proposals. Once I got busy, I lost track of time. It wasn't until the boss knocked on my desk that I realized it was already time to go home. I was the only one left in the CEO's office. You're working hard. I can't disappoint the boss's trust. Not going home? My boss hasn't left yet. Your boss is leaving now. Then I'll leave too. I stretched lazily, quickly organized the materials on my desk, and happily linked arms with him as we headed home. But I couldn't let go of work. After dinner, I rushed into my study and kept working until I had a proposal I was satisfied with. With such a powerful figure behind me, how could I not make full use of it? I rushed into Daniel's study, sat right on his lap, and shoved my proposal in front of him, demanding his guidance on revisions. Daniel was utterly speechless. Baby, it's rest time. Without a hint of shame, I replied, just do me a favor, please. Daniel sighed quietly, helplessly putting on his gold-rimmed glasses to begin reviewing my proposal. It seems you really don't want Goo Corporation to win this project. Of course, I said without hesitation, emotionally and rationally. So, what's your idea? Daniel rubbed his temples. All right. Your proposal is approved. I happily kissed his cheek. Thank you. Daniel pinched my waist. You're satisfied now, aren't you? Maybe it's time you return the favor. I obediently lay on him, letting him leave traces of his love on me. Because of my intervention, Goo Corporation lost the collaboration with Worrell Group, which was instead taken by a little-known company. Peter Goo, upon learning of the result, quickly sought me out. He arranged to meet me at the cafe downstairs of the Worrell Group building, and as soon as we met, he exploded in fury. Olivia, do you have a conscience? Goo Corporation is your own family's company, and here you are, turning your elbow outward so casually. Aren't you Daniel's lover? Why can't you help Goo Corporation? Don't you know how important this collaboration is for Goo Corporation? How can you face our father's spirit in the afterlife? I coldly watched Peter rage in vain. I truly detested this half-brother of mine. Had I not seen him that day, I might not have acted so quickly to sabotage Goo Corporation. My father was never the type to favor sons over daughters, and because my mother passed away early, he was even more biased toward me. I don't resent him for remarrying, after all, he's always shown me care. But it's a shame he was so blind to people's true nature, not seeing the malicious ambitions of that mother and son duo. Peter's mother brainwashed him from a young age, so he's always worn a double face around me. In front of my father, he's the obedient and understanding younger brother, but behind his back, he's a reckless, spoiled little demon. He's constantly tried to undermine me, but for a long time. I still felt a bit of familial affection, thinking he was just immature and didn't understand. But after my father suddenly fell ill and passed away, this mother-son pair dropped all pretense. Now they've driven me out of the house and still expect me to work hard for Goo Corporation. How naive. I sneered, curling my lips into a smile. Peter, you're just a worthless fool, barking at me like a dog. You can't even get into a decent university and had to settle for a fake degree, and now you're sitting in the position of general manager of Goo Corporation. Aren't you ashamed? Peter glared at me fiercely. Olivia, everyone outside says you're stupid, but I think you're quite smart. Not being able to tell fact from fiction, no wonder you'll amount to nothing. His anger boiled over, and he grabbed his coffee, intending to throw it in my face. I can only thank my luck that the coffee had cooled down a bit, or I would have been disfigured. Before I could react, a loud shout pulled me back into reality. What the hell are you doing? Daniel stormed over, carefully wiping the stains off my face. Daniel. I whimpered, clinging to him, crying with tears streaming down my face, looking utterly pitiful. Finally, he showed up. It was a good thing I'd messaged him in advance. Mr. Liu. So this is how Goo Corporation does things? No, it's all a misunderstanding. Peter, hoping to still collaborate with Worrell Group, panicked. Even though he'd lost this deal, there were other projects. He didn't want to tear his face with Daniel right here. He hurriedly tried to explain, "You misunderstood. She's my sister." Oh, if this is how Mr. Gu treats his family. I'm sure he's even more ruthless when it comes to business. It seems Worrell Group's decision not to collaborate with Gu Corporation was indeed wise. Since that's the case, there will be no need for any future cooperation. With that, Daniel took me in his arms and led me away from the scene. I cast a sideways glance, giving Peter a provocative look. My revenge had only just begun. Daniel, with a face full of concern, wiped my face and had his assistant bring me a fresh set of clothes. I pitifully nestled in his arms, as if I had suffered a great injustice. Daniel sighed helplessly. "You knew he wasn't up to any good, yet you still went to see him." "I just wanted you to feel sorry for me." "Feel sorry for you, or take aim at him?" I fell silent. He knew everything. Daniel let out a quiet sigh. "I'll cut off all business relations between the company and Gu Corporation and give your new Gu Corporation a chance. The new Gu Corporation will keep working hard, so Mr. Liu won't be disappointed." Daniel smiled faintly and didn't say anything more. Now that the conversation had been had, I had nothing left to hide. Taking advantage of Daniel's connections and influence, I blatantly started my own new Gu Corporation and openly snatched business away from the original one. My father's Gu Corporation, once thriving, was now declining under the mismanagement of my stepmother. My stepmother favored her own family and ruined the company, leading to dissatisfaction and constant complaints from the veteran staff. I saw my chance and began poaching people like crazy. To be honest, it felt oddly satisfying to dig at my own foundation. I was busy handling my own company's affairs in Worrell Group's office when I didn't notice Daniel standing behind me for a long time. I instinctively closed my laptop, feeling like I was trying to hide something. I grumbled, "Why didn't you say anything?" "You scared me." Daniel replied lazily, "Little girl's grown up, ready to start her career." I wrapped my arms around his solid waist. "I wouldn't be able to start without Teacher Fu's good guidance." "When do you plan on leaving?" He had seen everything. "After this project is done." "Then, do you still need the internship certificate from Worrell Group?" "Yes." I smiled sweetly, playfully. How could my company compare to the Golden Palace of Worrell Group? "Your company's internship certificate is so prestigious, I could flaunt it." Daniel pinched my cheek. Such a glib tongue. "I'm not really some naive or foolish girl, I've been plotting my counterattack all along. And Daniel is my best choice. He has the background and the ability. With his protection, my new beginning will be much smoother." Before my father passed away, he had already realized my stepmother's wolfish ambitions, but by then, his health was failing. And there was little he could do. All he could do was secretly transfer some assets into my name and arrange for trustworthy people to manage them. It's these resources that allowed me to start the new Gu Corporation. I'm not some homeless little pitiful thing, nor am I a clueless fool. On the contrary, I have my own career, it's just that it wasn't time for it to take off back then. Before he left, my father told me that if my stepmother made things difficult for me, I should turn to Daniel, and my father had even left me an education fund. Even if Daniel turned out unreliable, I wouldn't truly be left with nothing. But since Daniel was someone my father trusted, at the very least, he was someone I could rely on. As it turns out, Daniel is indeed a soft-hearted good person. It's because he's so good that I have the freedom to act recklessly. It was only after being with Daniel that I learned he and my father were close friends, though I never expected the first time we met would be so strange. I had guessed he would come to pick me up, but I didn't expect him to ask me to be his girlfriend. I found it a bit interesting, so I agreed. Of course, I won't deny that at that time I was also attracted to Daniel's looks. After all, this man is charming, handsome, well-connected, and influential. Most importantly, he truly takes good care of me. So, I was willing to enjoy his affection without hesitation, using his resources, even if it meant being his substitute. As it stands now, the results are clear. Goo Corporation lost the big deal with Worrell Group. And I've snatched several major projects from them. They're getting more and more overwhelmed and unable to keep up. The board is growing increasingly dissatisfied with my stepmother and brother, and some older shareholders who are about to retire have even started selling off their shares at low prices, taking the money to enjoy their retirement in peace. These actions are undoubtedly giving me opportunities, allowing me to reclaim everything that belongs to me. Now, the time has come. The thought of my stepmother's furious, resentful expression at the shareholders' meeting fills me with immense satisfaction. And when I saw her and my brother's unwilling faces as I presented my shareholding, I felt even more pleased. Now, with a larger shareholding, I successfully took over the position of chairwoman and kicked my stepmother and brother out of the company. It was a satisfying way to take revenge for being thrown out of the house back then. My stepmother doesn't understand business, and in the beginning, she was overly ambitious, but by the end, she was drowning in debt. My brother was indulgent and reckless, using the Goo family's name to do all sorts of foolish things and accumulating a lot of gambling debt. With Daniel's resources, I used some tactics to reclaim the family estate, and I spread rumors to force their creditors to corner them. Eventually, they were forced to leave the city. Some people, even though they share blood, are not family. And my stepmother and brother were just like that. It's best that we never see each other again. However, the entire Goo Corporation had been thrown into chaos during the year my stepmother was in charge, and getting it back on track would require thorough cleanup and restructuring. But I have the time to set it back on course. Having regained my family's business, I was overjoyed and immediately wanted to share the news with Daniel. Happy as could be, I headed to Worrell Group to give him a big surprise. Since I had worked at Worrell Group before, finding him was easy, but just as I reached the door to his office, I overheard unfamiliar voices inside. "How's it been lately?" "It's been fine." "How long are you planning to stay?" "I haven't decided yet." "What's the matter? Are you eager to see me go?" Their conversation was very familiar, but the subtle closeness between them made my heart tighten inexplicably. "Miss Olivia, why are you standing outside the door? Aren't you coming in?" Lucy, arms crossed, mocked me with a grin. "Come in and see the happy reunion of Mr. Liu and his first love." She lowered her voice and whispered to me, "Now that Scarlett is back, shouldn't someone step down and make way for her?" It was indeed Daniel's first love in there. A mix of emotions stirred in my chest. The joy from winning against my stepmother quickly turned to disappointment, and a faint sadness lingered in my heart. Seeing me silent, Lucy grew even more smug. "Miss Olivia, you're no longer young. You should learn to recognize your place and stop trying to hold on to what isn't yours." I sneered, "The one who can't see their place is you." With that, I didn't waste another word on her and decisively turned and left. I've never met Scarlett in person, but I've seen her photos. After all, I'm just her substitute. Objectively speaking, I do resemble her to some extent, especially in the way my eyebrows, eyes, and expression are shaped. But Scarlett's features are sharper, with a more clever and elegant air. Whereas I'm more delicate, my face rounder and softer, giving me a more gentle, ladylike look. Now that the real Scarlett has returned, can I still act without restraint, using her name as a substitute? I was feeling troubled, so I didn't go to Daniel's place. Especially when I saw his text saying he had a business dinner and couldn't have dinner with me, it just made my frustration reach its peak. I had just regained control of Goo Corporation, and there was so much to do. I couldn't afford to waste time wallowing. So, I gave myself a night to be sad, to sort out my feelings about Daniel and our relationship, so I could better focus on the next step. I spent the night at my company's office, and then I got sick. I'd been pampered by Daniel so much that I'd become fragile one night on a sofa bed and I was down with a cold. I called Daniel, feeling weak and pitiful. He picked up right away, and before I could say anything, he began scolding me. "Miss Olivia. Your courage is growing, huh? You dare stay out all night. Where are you?" His slightly concerned scolding, coupled with my weak state from the illness, made it hard for me to breathe. "Daniel." As soon as I spoke, my voice cracked, a tremble in my tone that sounded almost like I was crying. I didn't realize how much I depended on him until then. Daniel's voice softened, panic replacing the earlier anger. "My good girl, don't cry. Where are you? Why is your voice like that? Are you sick?" "I'm at my company's office. I worked late last night." "Got it, I'm coming to pick you up right now." Within half an hour, Daniel arrived. I had caught a cold because I had slept in the cold and hadn't rested well. When he saw how pitiful I looked, red eyes, a nose all swollen, he didn't scold me at all. Just quietly took me home. He even called a private doctor to examine me and only relaxed after confirming I was fine. I lay in bed, drowsy, vaguely hearing the conversation outside the door. "Now that Scarlett is back, are you still planning to keep this substitute around?" I suddenly remembered that Dr. J, the private doctor, was Daniel's old classmate. And he probably knew more about Daniel's past than anyone else. I tiptoed up and quietly leaned against the door, eavesdropping on their conversation. "You told everyone that this is the substitute you're keeping. Now that your first love is back, don't you plan to take her back?" Daniel's voice sounded a bit angry. "You know how much I've sacrificed for her, right? I had to feed her, comfort her to sleep, help her with her homework. And she's always sick and crying. Every day, I'm holding her in my hands, afraid she'll fall, keeping her in my mouth, afraid she'll melt. If I were to throw her away, you'd probably think I'm trying to kill myself." Dr. Wei was speechless, and Daniel continued, "You just mentioned first love? Scarlett. Didn't you say you liked her? That was admiration. It's not the same." "So?" Dr. Wei's voice became a bit hard to understand. "So? You like Olivia now, right?" At the question, I instinctively held my breath. "But you should go now. Don't disturb my baby's rest." I felt a faint sense of loss. He didn't directly answer the question. "But perhaps I could take a bet. It's just a little cold, I'll be fine after resting for a few days." That day, Daniel habitually picked the fish bones for me, but I was downcast. "What's wrong? Still not feeling well? Lost your appetite?" I looked up again, and my eyes were filled with tears. Daniel's face was full of concern as he carefully held me. "What's going on? Where do you feel uncomfortable?" "I already know." "Know what?" "Scarlett is back." I lowered my head, the sadness overwhelming, filling the entire restaurant with a melancholy air. "Remember, we agreed that I'd be your girlfriend. Now that she's back, I should step aside and make way for her." I wiped away my tears, looking directly at Daniel. "Dan, thank you for everything you've done for me. You've really taken such good care of me, and I'm very grateful to have had you by my side since my father passed away. I will always remember your kindness. Don't worry, I'll stay far away and won't bother you again." After saying this, my emotions became a bit too intense. Daniel stared at me, his gaze heavy. "Are you really leaving? Have you thought about where you'll go?" "I haven't decided yet, I'll stay in a hotel for a while. I don't want to go back to the old house, there are too many sad memories. I'll just buy a small place for now. You don't have to worry about me. I'm an adult, I'll be fine." Daniel fixed his gaze on me, sensing my artificial demeanor. His gaze was so sharp that I didn't dare meet his eyes. After a long silence, he finally sighed helplessly. "Olivia. You can just say what you want. Are you lacking confidence in yourself or in me?" As expected, he had seen through me. I straightened up, shaking off my dramatic pose, and calmly replied, "I don't have confidence in our love." Upon hearing this, Daniel stood up, grabbed a small box, and opened it in front of me. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring. I prepared this a long time ago, planning to wait until Goo Corporation was stable before finding the right moment to propose. But now, you're pulling out all these tricks, like retreating and pretending to be distant, so if I don't get the hint, what if my wife runs away? Daniel. I cried again, but this time it was genuine. Daniel held me tightly. You don't need to feel this insecure. When I first said you should be my girlfriend, I really was out of my mind. But my feelings for Scarlett were never about love between a man and a woman. We children from families like ours, we carry the family's burden, the responsibility to uphold the family's honor. You call me uncle, and I too feel old-fashioned. But what can we do? After all, the weight on our shoulders is heavy. I just envy Scarlett. I envy her freedom, her courage, and how she can do whatever she wants. Whatever she loves. She worked in wildlife protection in Africa, became a doctor with Médecins Sans Frontières, and traveled to many places, seeing countless beautiful sceneries. She did so many things I couldn't do. Among our group of friends, she lived like a free spirit, so I admire her, but that's all. When I first saw you, I did notice some similarities between you and her in your features. But you and she are completely different. I don't even know why, but somehow I ended up saying I wanted you to be my girlfriend and become Scarlett's substitute. Perhaps it was just an excuse I made to keep you by my side. Honestly, as soon as I said it, I regretted it, but you still agreed. Thinking back to our first meeting, it did seem strange and almost laughable. But hearing him lay his heart bare like that, it erased all the barriers in my heart. I smiled gently, holding my beloved man, filled with joy. Daniel, how could he not love me? And how could I lose? This doesn't count as an official proposal. What? Daniel looked at me in confusion, while I was filled with frustration. Does that count as a proposal? What do you think? I don't think it counts. I was trying to make him confirm our relationship, but I didn't expect him to just go straight to the point. I pushed the ring towards him. It's too half-hearted. A proposal like that? No way, it doesn't count. You can plan it again. After Goo Corporation is fully settled, we'll do it properly. I'll just pretend I didn't notice your proposal. Today, we'll call it a confession. Yes. That's it. Daniel looked at me helplessly. You sly thing. Despite his words, he stubbornly slid the ring onto my finger. Once something is given, you can't take it back. You can say it doesn't count, but I'll call it a confession ring. Next time, I'll get you a bigger one. I held the diamond ring in my hand, admiring it, my eyes full of joy. Loving someone is to indulge them infinitely. And Daniel does just that for me. Just like the little prince and his rose, after nurturing it with his heart, the rose became something special. Daniel does the same for me. The more he invests in me, the harder it is for him to let me go. Every bit of my pampering comes from his love and care. I am his carefully nurtured delicate flower, how could he ever let go of me? So, there's no such thing as a difficult partner to love. Just a partner who is willing to give. I'm lucky to have found the best little prince.
Extra chapter from Daniel's view. Although everyone in the world always calls Olivia a little fool, I never thought so. A young girl who can endure quietly, defeat her stepmother, and reclaim her family business, how could she be a naive, sweet thing? In fact, it was clear from the first time we met. The girl was obviously waiting for me. Or perhaps she already knew about me from Uncle Goo, but pretended to be foolish on purpose. How interesting. That night, I don't even know what came over me to say such things. But surprisingly, the little girl actually agreed. Even more interesting. Maybe that's where my curiosity started, and bit by bit it turned into infinite indulgence and pampering for her, until it eventually became an unwavering affection. Olivia is very skilled at using her weaknesses to get what she wants. Even though I know every time she's scheming, I know she got rid of Mandy to make it easier to meet her company's employees at home. I know she deliberately interned at Worrell Group to make connections for her business. I know she purposely angered Peter to test my attitude, so she could cut off her stepmother's access to Worrell Group. I also know she pretended to be sick the day she went to the company, knowing Scarlett had returned, and I know that the whole retreat to Advance Act was her way of legitimizing herself. Each of her schemes succeeded because I willingly allowed it and indulged her. Perhaps from the very beginning, I fell into her trap. She moved step by step, carefully probing, testing my boundaries, and then slowly expanding within my heart until she completely took over. Just like the little prince and his rose. There are millions of roses in the world, but the one that appears on your planet, the one you've nurtured, is the only one that belongs to you. I watered the rose and now I will never let her go. The end.